What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute, man. Listen, man. The plane that landed 92 skeletons on board, man. The title alone has me sucked in and drawn into it, bro. I don't know what this about. Matter of fact, let me look in the description real quick. It said many people have their reservations about flying. I'm one of them. It said whether it inspires fear of heights, sitting in coach, or acquiring in-flight germs from other passengers. Either way, an airplane gets you to your destination at a fraction of the time of what driving an automobile can do at a slow crawl. It says, then again, the friendly skies are full of bizarre phenomenons, from the discovery of 92 skeletons in aircraft to a squadron of fighter planes vanishing. Here are the 10 world's biggest aviation mysteries. So we about to check this video out, man. That just is crazy to me. And then we're gonna check out the top 10 places you are not allowed to visit, man. I'm pretty sure we're familiar with some of these places, but they always have about 5 or 6 or so that we may not be familiar with. So I'm excited to see that video too, man. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, man. And let's find out about these 92 skeletons on board.
Reservations about flying, whether it inspires fear of heights, sitting in coach, or acquiring in-flight germs from other passengers. Either way, an airplane gets you to your destination at a fraction of the time of what driving an automobile can do at a slow crawl. Then again, the friendly skies are full of bizarre phenomena, from the discovery of 92 skeletons aboard an aircraft to a squadron of fighter planes vanishing. Here are the 10 world's biggest aviation mysteries. Before we begin, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos every day. With that being said, let's begin. Number 10. Santiago Flight 513. A missing jetliner suddenly reappearing in the sky after 37 years missing in action.
See? There we go. I don't want to fly. Ever. It just, any type of courage that I had built up is gone now. Like the weather up there, you flying right and lightning strike the plane, you're done.
Was an alarming event for the ground crew no less, at Port Alegre, Brazil in 1989. First, a little history lesson. On September 4th, 1954, Santiago Flight 513, a model Lockheed Super Constellation, was carrying 88 passengers and 4 crew members, leaving Aachen, West Germany to traverse the Atlantic Ocean and arrive in Chile. A standard flight that was nothing out of the extraordinary until it mysteriously vanished, never reaching its destination. In 1989, air traffic control personnel spotted the elusive 513 flight that seemed to materialize out of the clouds, stacking around the airport until finally landing safely. Seeing that the plane remained incommunicado with control tower upon its final approach before taxiing to an idle stop, an eerie presence hung over the airport. After entering the plane, authorities encountered a macabre sight, with all passengers still strapped to their seats, reduced to, well, skeletons. Even the plane's captain, Miguel Victor Curry, was still poised at the controls, obviously working himself to death as a skeleton. A journalist named Erwin Fisher wrote an article for the Weekly World News on the strange incident, pitting the tabloids against a flurry of opinions that a potential hoax was at play. But the matter would not be—
Yeah, like, huh? That's making no sense. See, that's the type of stuff, man, that make us question everything. When you put stuff like that in front of our faces and say, here, 92 skeletons on board this plane, it just shows up out of nowhere. I'm not rolling, fam. It's something you're not telling me.
Be laid to rest, except for the passengers and crew found on board anyway. The only logical theory, according to Dr. Celso Otello, is that the Santiago 513 flight entered a wormhole, a concept to accomplish instantaneous leaps between 2 points in the space-time fabric of our universe. However, if this is true—
Wait. Entered a what?
513 flight entered a wormhole.
So now I gotta worry about wormholes when I'm in the air now? Are you kidding me?
A concept to accomplish instantaneous leaps between 2 points in the space-time fabric of our universe. However, if this is true, one Professor Emeritus Rodrigo de Manha raises the point that the government is obligated to share this knowledge with the rest of the world. On the surface, we have to assume, for every time we book a flight, that the next generation doesn't find our skeletal remains.
Exactly, like we go through a wormhole.
Number 9. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370.
Woo.
In recent memory, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 was a Boeing 777 jetliner that mysteriously vanished from the radar on March 8, 2015, while in transit from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. It was carrying 239 people on board before silently perishing into thin air. The fallout surrounding the Malaysian government's apparent lack of disclosure involving key events after its disappearance, with the contingency it was still flying per detection by military radar, is as mysterious as it was tragic. For this reason, many people can draw any number of theories to arrive at a consensus to dismiss all the guesswork floating around. However, search and rescue mission deployments have turned up fruitless discoveries, yet casting a further shadow on the grim disappearance. Of course, there's a small percentage of people who attribute the mystique surrounding the MH370 disappearance to alien abduction. Online images of a purported black box that recorded a strange message tapping out a distress code on the location of the downed airliner foundered under the weight of gullible minds. Nonetheless, many suspect that the Indian Ocean is the belated site of the accident. Number 8.
Dang, man. Nobody said that went through a wormhole. Now, what if that flight shows back up? Like that first flight. This is messing with my mental.
Flight 19. On December 5th, 1945, a squadron of TBM Avenger bombers departed Fort Lauderdale to undertake a routine training session, from locating targets to bombing tactics, and a process known as dead reckoning. The last component of their mission was designed to gauge their navigational skills using a compass to keep their bearings. There were 14 trainees distributed amongst the 5 planes, headed by Charles Taylor, whose mysterious disappearances birthed the fable of the Bermuda Triangle. This equidistant stretch of water in the Atlantic Ocean covers 1.5 million square miles, connecting the Bermuda Islands to Miami before terminating at Puerto Rico. Although the day was clear, Taylor would lead his comrades further out to sea, where they'd eventually meet some inclement weather conditions, with his compass going kaput, losing all points of reference to guide them. After a brief exchange of transmissions with air traffic control, Taylor seemed to deviate his team off into oblivion until all hope vanished. Literally, a search and rescue team were dispatched to salvage the missing squadron, only to experience the same fate. The exact cause of their disappearance remains unanswered, deepening the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. Number 7. Flying Tiger Line.
Y'all think y'all gonna get me on a plane, bro? Especially not flying overseas, bro. Nah.
Flight 739. In 1962, the Flying Tiger Flight 739, a Lockheed L-1049 Super Constellation, was a sizable aircraft that would venture from California to Vietnam, punctuated by 4 stopovers, including Honolulu, Wake Island Airfield, Guam, and Clark Air Base in the Philippines. It would never reach its final destination of Vietnam, confounding search experts to recover any parts of the missing plane. It was a standard flight, transporting 93 U.S. soldiers, 3 South Vietnamese passengers, and 11 crew members. A plane slated to last 6 hours following its departure from Clark Air Base. Only 8 minutes into the flight, Flight 739 established its position while maintaining radio communications with control tower personnel until it became a vanished blip on their screen. A comprehensive search and rescue mission ensued, sweeping 200,000 square miles to locate any wreckage, but to no avail. Although many eyewitness testimonies report contrails and a brilliant streak of light in the sky overhead that day, authorities contend that no debris or bodies were found to dispel the mystery. Number 6. Japan.
Bro, there's a lot of these that happen. And the fact that we're not finding any wreckage, any bodies aren't recovered, like, that's crazy to me. That just makes me think, in my conspiracy theory brain, that it's something that they're not telling us about this, bro. I just can't wrap my head around this happening this amount of times, and all you can tell us is it just vanished from the radar. It just vanished from the radar.
Japan Airlines Flight 1628. On November 17, 1986, Japan Airlines Flight 1628 was a cargo aircraft traveling from Reykjavik, Iceland to Anchorage, Alaska, with an original flight pattern beginning in Paris and terminating at Narita International in Tokyo. Helming the aircraft was Captain Kenju Turachi, along with co-pilot First Officer Takanori Temafuji and Flight Engineer Second Officer Yoshio Tsukuba. During the flight, Turachi identifies 2 strange objects tracking alongside their aircraft. maintaining a level position for some time before shifting rapidly in front of the cockpit. Tarachi reports feeling a radiance of heat generating from the object's power thrust, mobilizing the two craft in what appears to be a game of cat and mouse. After some technological sleight of hand designed to warp the crew's perception of anything but earthbound, or so it appears, the two objects dart erratically off into the horizon. Here comes the weird part. Even though Tarachi declines military assistance to suppress this foreign object in the sky, Anchorage ATC informs United Airlines Flight 69 and a separate jet to fly within range of visual contact. The aftermath of this strange incident sets off a whirlwind of an alleged UFO encounter by Captain Tarachi and his crew. However, the FAA and US government, mediated by agencies including the FBI, CIA, and President Reagan's scientific team, co-signed the incident to secrecy. Number 5.
Did y'all hear that? Into secrecy. That's all I wanted to say.
Pakistan International Airlines Flight 404. A bare minimum of information exists surrounding this next entry on our list, but this seems to be a common thread among many aerial disappearances. On August 25, 1989, the Pakistani aviation industry was rocked by the mysterious vanishing of a Fokker F-27-200 Friendship aircraft while en route from the northern city of Gilgit to the nation's capital Islamabad, conveying 54 passengers for a routine domestic flight. Shortly after takeoff, the pilot made contact with air traffic control at 7:40 to confirm their position, only to evaporate from radar, eliminating all contact. The Pakistani government launched a search and rescue effort with auxiliary support from civilian search party brigades to increase the chances of finding survivors. The end result was no wreckage, let alone any bodies were found. However, there is speculation that Flight 404 crashed in the Himalayas, somewhere near Nanga Parbat, but this is purely guesswork for now. Number 4. Varick Flight 967. Many aircraft disappearances are often hard to explain away, with a lack of any wreckage found, an unaccounted death toll, much less a leading motive that contributes to a rather large missing piece of the puzzle. However, you might give pause to ever shipping expensive collectibles by air freight, as thieves can resort to some pretty low methods by aiming higher when it comes to capitalizing on stolen goods. Perhaps that's the story behind Varick Flight 967, a Boeing 707-323C cargo jet that departed from Narita International Airport in Tokyo, en route to Rio de Janeiro, Galeão International Airport, with a stopover in Los Angeles International. With 6 crew members with varying flight time experience, the probability of hijacking a cargo aircraft with a flight manifest containing the signature artwork of a Brazilian painter named Manabu Mabe seems open and shut.
I wonder how much that painting was, some of those paintings were worth. That'll let you know who, you know what I mean? If your plane got knocked off because you had some expensive, thieves set you up. Oh yeah, they've been plotting on this. Which makes me think, okay, how did they get the information, coordinates, and different things like that? Had to be with help from someone on the inside. Now, don't make me get on my CSI.
It is said these showpieces tally around $1.24 million, and, as coincidences go, returning from a Tokyo exhibition serves as the perfect heist for one Carmen Sandiego or greedy aircrew. However, balancing out this theory with no supportive evidence can only leave us wondering that its disappearance 30 minutes after takeoff, some 120 miles from the mainland, is nothing more than a coup from a shifty crew. Number 3. 2003 Angola 7.
I'm not rolling with these just disappearance after disappearance.
27 disappearance. Airplane disappearances don't get much more perplexing than this next item on our list. On May 25, 2003, Ben Charles Padilla, a pilot and aircraft mechanic, alongside assistant John M. Mutantu, commandeered a Boeing 727 from among a fleet of former American airline jets at Quatro de Fevereiro International Airport in Angola. The details surrounding the men involved with the jumbo jet's disappearance has provided no evidence in the way of numerous theories that point to insurance fraud, to illegally smuggling contraband to a terrorist plot. A few clues paint a sketchy picture, as Padilla and his cohort were enlisted to repair the said jet, which was leased by an Angolan liner. However, Padilla seemed to have an agenda from the beginning. On the pretext of servicing the aircraft, he and Mutantu decided to man the cockpit, despite their intelligibility, and proceed to down the runway, with air traffic control's futile attempts to communicate with them a lost cause. Without navigation lights and transponders turned off, the jetliner climbs over the Atlantic Ocean, leaving behind a wake of mystery. The Department of Homeland Security FBI and CIA conduct an investigation, but no debris from the wreckage was ever found. Number 2. BSAA Star Tiger. These last two topics on our list share a similar fate, so let's see if we can connect the dots. On July 29, 1948, the BSAA Star Tiger departed Santa Maria, en route to Bermuda, aligned on a direct path with Arvo Lancastrian, surveying weather conditions ahead. Eventually, foul weather rolled in, throwing off the electronic instruments that would cause the pilot to stray off course to meet a fateful end. A search and rescue expedition would not find any trace of the missing aircraft, echoing a familiar superstition linked to the Bermuda Triangle. With all the disappearances of vessels and planes that fall within these cursed geometric boundaries, one theory of a space-time warp could be the missing link, on the off chance it's more than science fiction. Number 1. BSAA Star Ariel. Now, coincidences are purely accidental, but it seems downright eerie that only a year later, the BSAA Star Ariel met an identical fate as the Star Tiger. Once again, on January 17, 1949, the fated plane departed Kindly Air Force Base, en route to Kingston, Jamaica, losing contact with air traffic control over the Atlantic Ocean, becoming yet another statistic to the Bermuda Triangle. If history repeats itself, it seems like an unwritten rule that passes.
We gotta do a video on the Bermuda Triangle, man. We got to. I know it always spooked me as a kid hearing about I never wanted to go anywhere near that place. I was just so spooked that as a kid hearing the stories about the Bermuda, and you know the stories get crazier and crazier and crazier. So we got to do a video on the Bermuda.
Passing through these waters has deadly consequences. Do you actually think a time warp exists in the Bermuda Triangle? Could that explain why a plane shows up 37 years later with 92 skeletons on board?
I'm not buying that, but I'm not gonna be the person to go out there and test the theory. You know what I mean? So I guess I am buying it then by default. So let's get to these 10 places you're not allowed to visit. Bermuda is gonna be number 1 for me.
We're counting down our picks for the top 10 places you are not allowed to visit. For this list, we're looking at those places that bar the general public from visiting. However, we are not including places that run group tours, although we still might recommend avoiding Chernobyl if possible.
Pretty highly contaminated.
Number 10, Bohemian Grove, California, USA.
There's no one free here. We're all slaves.
Not only does this campground restrict most of the general population from admission, it also excludes anyone who identifies as female.
Cali, where is that at now? Bohemian Grove, California. Okay.
Right? Monte Rio's Bohemian Grove is the site of a private male-only art club that can only be accessed by members and their guests, provided the latter pass the screening tests, that is.
This is a photograph of people who attend. As we mentioned, it is all men, and this is a photograph of some of them.
Members consist of artists, government officials, businessmen, and other VIPs who gather together every summer at the Grove and use the encampment to, well, we're not quite sure.
What most people do not know is that for more than a century, they've kicked off their retreat with a spectacular nighttime ceremony. From the air, the encampment is lit up with torches.
Not much is known about what
What are y'all doing out there in Cali, man?
goes on because of the club's extreme secrecy, and this has unsurprisingly garnered much controversy since the group's 1878 establishment.
Above all the sex and all that, it's the main objective of controlling the world.
While it's known to house facilities mostly for entertainment and recreational purposes, only very few people have managed to get into the Grove and report back.
Our concern is not what's going on inside of the Grove, but what's happening outside of the Grove with the people that are in here.
Number 9, Surtsey Ice.
Whoa. I just feel like I found out about something that I should not know anything about, man. Now I can't let my location get compromised. Like, when you hear about stuff like that, you be like, whoa, fam, what could they, like, they could be, like, your mind, see, my brain is just churning up things that they could be doing or setting up or orchestrating that controls. See, the conspiracies is starting to set in. It's starting to set in.
Iceland.
Oh gosh, you're going to Surtsey. Oh, you're so lucky.
A volcanic island located just off the south coast of Iceland. Surtsey formed in a volcanic eruption that lasted nearly 4 years, from November 1963 to June 1967.
Within days, the island of Surtsey appeared above the waves.
While certain botanists and biologists are able to visit the island for scientific purposes, no other humans are allowed on the island in order to preserve its natural ecological process.
Watching life take hold of Surtsey is the closest humans had come to watching how life would have emerged on Earth.
All scientific visitors need to check their belongings before they enter to ensure that no seeds are introduced into the ecosystem. This rule was put in place after 2009, when an improperly handled human defecation resulted in a tomato plant beginning to grow. Number 8. Club 33 in Anaheim, California, USA.
And what's so cool about it, this Club 33?
Well, obviously, the exclusivity.
Located in the center of Disneyland, this club is exclusive to VIP members and has...
What that means is you got to make over a certain amount to get into that club, right? Yeah. You got to have a lot of commas.
It's a waiting list of over 10 years. The club is the only location in Disneyland to offer alcoholic beverages during the day and is located at 33 Royal Street, right beside the Blue Bayou restaurant. To enter the club, members need to buzz an intercom, where a receptionist will grant access if the person is actually a member. The club is furnished with several props from famous Disney films, including a lavish walnut table with white marble top that was used in Mary Poppins. Number 7. Les Catacombs de Paris, Paris, France.
We're about 200 feet below the streets, and we finally made it. In French, this says, "This is the entrance to the Empire of Death."
It's in the French capital that you will encounter these underground ossuaries known as the Catacombs of Paris. Once consisting of stone mines, what's left of these are caverns, tunnels, and the remains of an estimated 6 million people, giving the catacombs the nickname of the world's largest grave. Thanks to natural human curiosity, parts of the underground cemetery became visitable in the 19th century, and they have since...
Humans make me sick. Like, we ain't got no business in there, man. We just be curious and be wanting to know and wanting to see stuff.
It's become part of the 14 City of Paris museums. However, what interests us here are the parts of the catacombs that have been sealed off from the public. With only some old gates blocking our paths, our minds can only imagine what lies among those tunnels and caverns that have been deemed unnavigable for public consumption. Number 6. Ilha de Queimada Grande, Brazil. The Ilha de Queimada Grande, also known as Snake Island, is a small island located...
Yeah, we done heard about Snake Island. Son, you dying instantly.
Off the coast of Sao Paulo. Legend claims that there are 5 snakes to every square meter, although a recent documentary stated that there is more likely to be 1 snake per square meter. The only snake species on the island is the venomous golden lancehead. Its venom is said to be up to 5 times stronger than that of any mainland viper, and is capable of melting human flesh. Civilians are not allowed to visit the island, and scientists are only allowed rare trips if they receive a special waiver.
For those who work with snakes, it's very hard to go to the field and find many snakes. And in here, you don't have to walk that much and you can see many snakes. So it's these are special conditions you can never find anywhere else.
Number 5. North Sentinel Island, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, India. North Sentinel Island is...
There go the homies. We know about them too. The Sentinelese.
Home to the Sentinelese, a group of indigenous people with a population of somewhere between 50 and 400. They're one of the last peoples in the world to remain untouched by modern civilization and refuse any contact with outsiders. As recently as 2006, 2 fishermen were killed by the Sentinelese when their boat drifted close to the island. While peaceful contact was made during the early 1990s, the Indian government stopped sending people to the island in 1997.
We know from statistics that when you contact tribes like this, 2/3 of the population die after 2 years.
Number 4. Lascaux, France.
And in the center of this composition, they have united the 3 principal animals of Lascaux: horse, ox, and deer.
Lascaux is home to some of the best-known Upper Paleolithic art in the world. The cave paintings are estimated to be more than 17,000 years old and mostly depict big animals. The Lascaux Caves have been added to the UNESCO World Heritage List and have been banned from the public since 1963.
Yeah, because we got in there and started messing up the ecosystem in there, and just humans, we always mess stuff up, man. We bring germs and different things.
Primarily because any human presence in the cave could potentially be destructive. Currently, only a handful of scientists are allowed to enter the caves, though a replica of them, called Lascaux 2, was open to the public in 1983. Number 3. RAF Menwith Hill, England.
Now, it's been called the largest spy center on Earth, jointly run by the UK and the US. The Menwith Hill complex in rural England monitors the communications of dozens of other countries.
Described as one of the world's biggest, if not the biggest, electronic monitoring stations, this Royal Air
Do y'all hear electronic monitoring station? Yeah, it exists.
Force Station provides intelligence support service to the United States of America and the United Kingdom. It was originally set up to intercept messages between the Soviet Union and its allies during the Cold War, but the station is still in full operation today. In fact, several of the satellites are controlled directly by the American NSA, something that's been criticized in recent years after the Snowden leaks. Number 2, the Vatican.
Telling y'all, man. They watching everything. They hear everything.
Secret Archives, Vatican City.
This way. Oh, beautiful.
The Vatican Secret Archives, found in Vatican City, contain all of the important documents that the Catholic Church has accumulated over the centuries, including state papers and papal account books. It acts as the central repository for all the acts promulgated by the Holy See. They should perhaps be called the Vatican Private Archives, however, because the documents are not actually secret. They're more like the Pope's personal property.
We are still arranged and organize the archives. And so I think that many documents are to discover.
You cannot enter the archive, however, and in order to examine a document, you need to submit a formal request. And then, if accepted, access will be supplied to you.
The personal papers of Pope John Paul II, who died in 2005, are locked away until 2080.
Wow.
But only qualified scholars can actually apply. And only documents from 1939 or earlier can actually be viewed by the public.
Just a few days for this, and I could have actually finished my book.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Australia.
Number 1, Area 51, Nevada, USA.
Yeah, a lot of people thought they was gonna storm Area 51. I was listening to them. Yeah, y'all go ahead. They was gonna melt your face off before you got to Area 51.
After Lincoln County deputies arrived, the driver and passengers were pulled out, cited for trespassing, and given court dates. The projected fine, $650 apiece, and a misdemeanor conviction.
The U.S. has frequently been criticized for being highly secretive, and Nevada's Area 51 has been a hotbed for criticism and speculation for decades. While the base's primary purpose is unknown to the public, historical evidence suggests that it's been used to develop and test weapons. All research in Area 51 is considered top secret, which has made it a frequent subject of UFO folklore.
The recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any agency of the United States.
Many people believe that the base is home to alien spacecraft and even alien species, while others suggest that scientists are working on time travel or teleportation devices.
Every U.S. stealth aircraft has been tested at Area 51 in one way or another.
As the base is closed to the public, speculation about the U.S. Air Force facility should only continue to grow.
Area 51? I found Area 51.
If the Simpsons say it, you know it's true.
51!
No, man, this is Area 51A.
Do you agree with our list? What do you think?
Listen, y'all get at me in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all think. I just think that whole aircraft missing, disappearance without a trace, show back up several years later, bodies on it, just Bermuda Triangle, that whole yeah, I'm not rolling, man. It's something they not telling us and just feeding us the old disappeared, just went off the radar and unexplained. I'm just not buying it, man. Y'all get at me. Let me know what y'all think. Leave some comments. Till the next reaction, it's your boy L. I'm out. Peace. Y'all stay solid. Hey.